that makes it even worse. Because that means it's a spell. It's a spell.
Yeah. So that's how magic works.
Right.
Right. So when the genuine article is not available, you are allowed to use a comparable substitute.
That's right.
Right. And based on the culture that you live in, is they say that it's been banned. Cannibalism is outlawed, as they say, but they still have a communion.
Right.
So in the facsimile, the duplicate, the replica, is the bread, which signifies the flesh, and the wine, which signifies the blood.
Yeah.
Notice the wine is wine when grape juice turns to alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Which is also tapping into another frequency of spirits. Mm-hmm. Alcohol is called spirits.
Right. That's right.
Right. So when you use them as formula, if you study high magic or ceremonial magic, they tell you that if you can't find a general article, reasonable facsimile can be substituted.
That's right. That's a fact.
Right. So if I got a spell that requires beaver testicles, but I don't live around beavers, I can use a muskrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So the comparative analysis, the spiritual energy recognized the event as if the event was the same event as the first event that is built on.
Right.
So if they sacrifice the god to start the program, then you sacrifice him every time you maintain the program. Yep. That's called conjure maintenance.
Yeah.
That's how you keep a spell going. You got to maintenance the conjure. And this is why we went back to war, and the war 1812 gave the devil an extension.
Right.
Right? They tell us all these other reasons for the war, but they don't tell you the real reason is because the tribes rebelled. Nobody was maintaining the conjure. So it reset the clock back to the original conjure that began with the blood of Crispus Attucus. So it was supposed to end in 1776. 1976, the bicentennial. Uh-huh. Right? But it'll take another 50-something years because the war 1812 reset their clock. This is what Elijah Muhammad was talking about. The devil got an extension. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Message to the Black Man or either the Fall of America. But he was talking about the devil getting an extension. It's best based on not maintenance in the conjure, then the conjure being maintenance. This is your black codes, maintenance in the conjure. Yeah. Your restrictions on learning. Yeah. Your restriction on acquisition of wealth. Your restriction on families' cohesion. Right? Separating them. Shipping them off, right? They had stuff they couldn't answer for because one of the elders was talking about how they take this woman baby to that plantation. Yeah. She ain't worried about her child because when they bring the child from the other plantation to her plantation, that's her child now.
Yeah.
Right? So they know their child gonna be taken care of no matter which family farm they took to. Right. So they had to break that up. So they had to spoil the women. And one bad fruit is spoil the whole bunch.
That's their game. Go ahead. Hey, Rod, you said something about the spells. I heard when I was studying Aleister Crowley and them, and they was talking about that he was one of the most powerful that they really in their witch because once you're a witch and you go amongst the other witches, they don't get offended like that. You don't stand out. Like I can go amongst them, right? Once I found out that I was a wizard too, right? Mm-hmm. When I get amongst them, they say that Aleister Crowley was one of their number one guys, like for the bad ones. They say, "Oh yeah, well he's our number one guy, like the best guy, like the most like he showed us a lot, right?" And then they goes into say that the longest spell that can be casted is only can last 6 months. And I said, damn,
that's without maintenance.
Yeah, without maintenance. Without maintenance. I'm bringing out back what you said. And it goes the same with the jab. That's why they had to keep giving you the jab, because it was alchemy, it was witchcraft, or pharmacy is with it being witchcraft. So it was witchcraft. So they got to keep giving you a jab every 6 months, or they got to keep doing maintenance on that spell. Just like you said, it all ties back to what you said about it, the spell got to be maintenance. It got to be a ritual. That's why they do the Mama's Parade in Philadelphia, and they do like in England they have where they paint the black face. Well, they stopped probably doing it now because that's why it's coming to an end, because they can't keep that maintenance on that ritual. That's why the Moors waking up. Look, so somebody stopped it. The Philadelphia parade where they march with the black face with our fez on, and then they go do it in England too, right? The Mama's parades. So I think they stopped that now. So, but there was maintenance. They did that every January 1st and April, like during the time when they sacked the Moors, like in 1492. So you think that was a maintenance ritual? Go ahead.
They still do it in Spain. They never stopped doing it in Spain.
Go ahead.
Right, and it is the maintenance of a ritual, right? But you brought up Crowley. Crowley was known as the Beast, 666, right? And he was known for being rebellious to every secret society he joined. Now, in order to understand what Crowley was and what Crowley was doing, you gotta know his history. You gotta know he grew up with a fanatical father that was a Christian preacher. And that he gave a vow that not only would he expose the church, but he said, this is when he was like 12 years old. He said he's gonna expose the church, and he's gonna go into the Masons, because the Masons was the ones who had the hold on his father stronger than the church, and put all of their secrets out. Right? He said, I'm gonna tell it all. Right? So this is why none of the occultists of the era, they couldn't stand Crowley, because he was putting all of their secrets in the public domain. Right? His epic work, Gems of the Equinox, right? He got so much knowledge in there related to the practice of magic that was never supposed to get out into the public. It was supposed to be kept concealed behind large doors. That's the only way that the ones contracted as Masons, because they under contract if they in the Brotherhood. The ones those are speculative Masons. Operative Masons is the ones who live in their life doing the actual work, what they call the magnum opus, the great arcana, right, of building the society of heaven on earth in the midst of being attacked from all angles from the devil, who is the contracted ones. So it becomes a war against Masons and Freemasons, right? So in order to be a Freemason, you have to be a traveling man. You have to be on the land, occupying very diverse places and maintaining your character the whole time, which ties back to understanding what it means to be royalty. Royalty ain't just the blood alone. It's also the character development that makes you worthy to sit on the seat called the throne. You're not worthy if you don't go through the struggles of life to hone your character and your skill set so that you can be an asset to the collective instead of being a liability. Tyrants is liabilities. They only out for selfish gain and selfish agendas. So you don't want to put a tyrant on the throne. But you do want somebody that's strict. You do want somebody that stand on business. You do want somebody that won't back down in the face of a threat, right? All of this is the development of the self in operation. So you become what they call an operant Mason. The speculative Masons are the ones who studying what you're doing and trying to figure it out. What is he doing? Why is he doing that? So they study human psychology, sociology, and then they try to use that information to control all of the people. But some of us is uncontrollable. They're incorrigible. You can't control me. Only I can control me. And I'm only going to let you control me to the degree in which it benefits me. When the benefit is gone, your control is lost. So Crowley did exactly what he said. He didn't stay with Blavatsky long because she was putting the secrets out in the open. He didn't stay with Israel Regardie long because he was putting the secrets out in the open. Right? He didn't even want to touch Rudolf Steiner because he wasn't scared of too many people. But Rudolf Steiner wasn't his cup of tea, nor was Franz Bardon. Right? But Crowley did exactly what he said he was going to do. Expose the church and expose the lodge. He put the lodge business out in the open. They put a hit on him. He just survived it.
And they ran him up out of, was that England? They ran him up out of somewhere where their main stronghold was. He got ran up out of there. And they moved him out the country. It was Switzerland or somewhere. He got ran up out of there.
Yeah, he ended up, I think he died on a little island outside of Italy.
Yeah, he was trying to do this 6-month spell, the longest spell they got in their spell book.
Well, if you don't do the maintenance on them, then they dissipate. It's energy.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's like driving a car. If you don't put no gas in it, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The same engine that you burn gas in, with a few tweaks, you can burn water in it.
Yeah.
So the great deception come in and them telling you that the only way you can get this amount of power out of this engine is you got to use fossil fuel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 It's already somebody that they already converted it in the 1800s. Over here, we had cars running off of water. They come to find out that's what that dude was breaking down in that clip. I ain't played the whole clip, but he said that we were more advanced. Like Nikola Tesla was just a cover up. Like he said he's saying that we already had lights and plumbing and like sewer systems and everything over here before Christopher Columbus came. Like sewer systems.
Yeah, we had all that.
And trains and stuff.
We wasn't no Stone Age spear chucking backwoods. We didn't need weapons.
Yeah.
We only needed weapons to hunt. We didn't need weapons to fight war. We didn't have them kind of wars.
Yeah.
If it got bad enough, my chief gonna fight your chief.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or they gonna pick their champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I say if it was a war to be won with the fist, Big Tookie and Mike Tyson would have took it a long time ago. It wasn't about that. Those were what they call them. Those were bullet points on the essay. Somebody that can do it all. It wasn't about physics. If it was about physics, Lord Quartermain would have took that.
Mm-hmm. Because
they couldn't create a atomic bomb out of Einstein's formula until they called in Lloyd Quartermain. Mm. It ain't about education, because Carter G or Amos Wilson, Hockey Model Booty, they all would have took that a long time ago. Mm. Right? Half of this stuff Elijah would have took. There's some boys in the nation got them hands.
Yeah.
And, they just don't run around fronting that they got them hands, but don't pull up on one and try to find out.
Yeah, right.
Right? But, he was turning out champions of all caliber. He had Ali. Right? He had great authors that we look back now, we read these books. Some of them that wasn't formal members, like Dr. Clark, but he was feeding information to Elijah. and Malcolm and Martin, right? Dr. Ben was feeding them information to keep their education program ahead of the fallacy, right? So you got people like Chancellor Williams, whose information was fed through the nation, destruction of black civilization. Right? A lot of that information, if the nation wasn't showing us what to read, we wouldn't have knew what we needed to read versus what they told us to read. We wouldn't have knew that we needed our information to offset what they was telling us. Right? I was ordering college textbooks, but at the same time, I was in the Final Call bookstore and I was in the Ancestral bookstore ordering books from us. Right? They had this. I had this one catalog called African World Books out of Philadelphia. I was ordering books out of. But then I was ordering books out of Edward R. Hamilton, and my brother and sister paid for all the knowledge. That's why I can give it away for free. It's been paid for already. It was paid. It was prepaid. Right. Right. I paid attention, and they paid the bill. Right. So it's been double paid at that point, triple paid, because it was a brother, sister, myself, and then my attention. Right. So we was getting together, trying to formulate understanding of what was taking place. I didn't know I was going to be the chief they was going to call for this. I was living my life. But then the codes started coming in, and you can't duck them because you get bombarded by them. They activate you. You can't help it. You got to move in a certain direction. People think you insane. So I had to go get a psyche eval to prove I wasn't insane. So I sat there and told the history of psychiatry and psychology to the psychiatrist, who was perplexed. Why are you even here? You know this better than me. You are definitely not insane. But you got to also remember, intelligent people, smart people, sound totally batshit crazy to dumb people.
Right. Yeah, bro. Okay, we're gonna roll about 2 or 3 more, then we'll take some questions. I got another. I'm gonna ask a question right there. Now, so based on what we getting is there any artifacts that could potentially awake the more, or wake it with people of this land? Okay, now that's what the question was. Now, he said that there was Phoenicians and Hebrew writing. Right, we know that the Phoenicians were tall. Some of them could have been 7 foot tall, like Shaquille O'Neal height, because the Watusis are naturally tall. If you go look at the Watusi, they're the tall tribe, and then we had, because they showed based on the artifacts that we seen, the ones that we was able to some kind of way get pictures of, or what people told us, that they had 2 different type of phenotypes. The one was the Watusi looking. That's the Phoenicians. The ones they said the Phoenicians. They was about the Great Lakes. They populated the whole Mississippi, the old Mississippians. And then they had another shorter group that kind of resembled the Twa Man. And then they had another group, which they found these guys everywhere. They found one of these guys frozen in the ice in Antarctica. These are far people, right? They are far people. So they found them guys over here. So, man, what would that do? I mean, the truth is out now, but what does that gonna do for the whole paradigm? Their whole paradigm falls down. We got to start back from the beginning and start from scratch, all the way from the beginning, because the whole storyline don't start from Africa. It starts off from nowhere. It start here.
Right. Well, you gotta remember, they just started studying over here.
Yeah.
Because the goal was never to give us any information related to anything over here.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so when they tell a narrative and they out of Africa theory, if you incorporate what was going on in the Americas during the whole out of Africa time frame, it spoils the narrative.
It hurt their feelings.
Right? Right. So you see the artifacts that they collected tell the story.
Yeah.
This is why they have to always conceal them and destroy the bodies, conceal the bodies, take the skulls off the bodies, certain stuff that they was doing
Blow the whole
to
body, blow a whole
all
building.
to design to control the narrative. Everything started in the Americas.
Right. It would be no other reason to cover it up. If it went to what the storyline they gave us, if the storyline they gave us was legit, it'd be no reason for the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian, and then they said they had a fire where after they collected all those artifacts, and then 1885, right after the Civil War, they burned down. It was 65. They burned down. What it was 65 or 85. All of a sudden, the place burned down to the ground. Huh?
It was 65 because I noticed it was not too long after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you gotta remember, it wasn't just the Smithsonian that burned during that time period. It was all of the records across the land. It was burning the churches that had the records in them, the libraries that had records, the city halls that had records. All of them was catching fire. That's why most of my mama history has been burned up in the fires because they in Magnolia they burned down the library with all the records in it.
I heard my granddaddy say something like that they burned out when they had no birth tickets, they burned it down.
Yeah. So we had land diagrams that we used to use to map out our plot of land. That's what they was mainly trying to destroy, so that we won't be able to say this was on my land. Yeah. They didn't want us. This was before they came out with something called an alloidial title. That didn't have nothing to do with us. That was European record keeping.
Yeah.
Right? But once they gave us the records, we started asking questions, and the questions led to us seeking the answers where we couldn't get it from them.
Yeah.
Because we know that they have to put it in the public domain somewhere. We just have to locate it. We just didn't know that they would be telling it to us in news stories.
Yeah.
And using the big screen and political satire to control the narrative. But they've been doing it the whole time. And the same people was behind it. The unseen hand. The black hand.
Real slick, like though. They real smooth and crafty with it though. The South Bantu people, which was over here, they put this red dye in their head. The tribe. I know you probably seen that before, right? So that's when they saying red haired people. They talking about these Bantu peoples.
No, he's talking about the ones that use the red clay.
Right. And that's
why we literally had red heads over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, with our Nana, I know about with the red hair, green eyes, our Nana's daughters. But I'm talking about also that's what he talking about though. He talking about the red head, the Bantu that they used to put the red dye. He talking about that people. He ain't talking about the Aldebaran connection with our Nana. That's a whole nother connection. You know what I'm saying? With our green eye family. He
would have identified if it was clay. If it was red clay.
I'm telling it. He
said but look, we're going to think that you probably didn't notice. He used the word more than once, and the word was stasis.
Go ahead.
You ain't dead if you're in stasis.
Yeah, I know it.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so the goals, it's called you call them Netarus, Natharus. They had a device. Murdoch and them had a device that could put you into stasis, and it really was a sarcophagus. It really was the first prototype to the med beds before they got to making the med beds. Murdoch now, and so what they would do is they could lay in this thing, and it would just put them into like when they float out of space, it just put them into like a deep sleep where they age slower, like a slower process of aging, right? Just kind of like what you said they did to Tookie and all that, kind of like the same thing, but it's more advanced where they don't gotta freeze you. It's like a type of machine where it puts you into this. You get into there and they put you into a certain type of.
They use sarcophagi for that. They used to call them regeneration chambers.
Yeah.
And it was a sarcophagus that carried a certain frequency to regenerate your cells.
Yeah.
So it moved all your biology to when you was in your best performance shape.
That's right.
Right. And they had the ones like these two, they called them giants. When they could put them in stasis in a sarcophagus, and then they could inhabit another human's body that's walking around.
Yeah.
You know, as a walk-in.
Yeah. That's happening. So what I'm thinking is, he's saying giant. He really talking about these 7 foot. Like I said, on Watusis, they get 7 foot, and then when the Watusis mix with the other groups, which like the Sandsman and Twyman, they created other races like the Bantu. And like I said, I'm Bantu. They even show a picture of Satuk. Somebody painted a picture of Satuk. He even got the red hair, but the Mississippi, that red clay dirt is found up and down the Mississippi. That same red clay dirt that they was putting in their hair. I'm telling you, Rod. He don't know that's what he's saying. He ain't even saying it because they don't really want to tell us that why these Bantu people that's doing this red dye already over here in America 50,000 years, 40,000. Because Doc already said it though. Doc already told us in the in the Let's Set the Record Straight book that the people was already that they was over here. The Bantu people, they was already over here. The Almacs and all that. The Bantu people are the Almacs, right? So they was already over here. And they even show statues of these people with they even show Almac statues with the braid. How the Bantu people braid their hair. The Almacs got the same braids. And like I say, that red dye, they put that in their hair. That's why they say these red hair. How he black with red hair? Come on, man. I'm talking about like dark black. These niggas jet black with red hair. That wasn't the bunch, the Inanna bunch. That's our other family members, which we got 3 different types. It was the red hair, green eyes with the freckles. That's one of Inanna's daughters. One of her other daughters had black hair with dark colored eyes, and the other one was a mix between the two, which gave her, when you mix the red with the black, it gave you a brown or a brunette color. And if you ever see them women that's from them three different ones I just named, and they be thick and fine, because you can see them red, some gingers, they be thick and fine. That's Inanna's daughters, and that ain't the people he talking about though. Although they was over here too.
Let me tell you something from experience out of that. I went to Mississippi to visit back in '85. And I was out in that sun so much down there that I had patches on my hair that was the color of my skin, but my skin had got darker.
Yeah.
But my hair had these parts that had literally bleached in the sun.
Yeah.
You know, so there are dark people with red hair.
Yeah, I seen it.
It's just not as common as dark people with dark hair. It's like in the Melanesian people, you have some people their skin is so dark that it got a purple tint and then they got blonde hair.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the real
so
thing.
Yeah, the sun also can bleach your hair for you.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on, you know what I'm saying, what was going on with the people at the era. But I do know from experience that the sun will bleach your hair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but like based on all what I'm collecting, like he's saying, oh, it's a pharaoh. Then the other dude said, oh, well, that's in Utah, right? Well, he's saying that they found this tall 7-foot pharaoh in Utah. Yeah, and then in another spot in the same kind of area, another guy said, oh, these Phoenicians. They all go back to the Phoenicians because that's like a code name for them. Well, they can just.
Yeah, we said that it was Phoenician writing discovered in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah, but because it's not Hebrew, there's no such language really as Hebrew. That's what they're
Paleo Hebrew. What he said.
Yeah.
He said they had Paleo Hebrew and Phoenician, which is very similar. Right.
But it's the Hebrew is not the language because the Hebrew was an act that where we. That's
Right.
what these other people called us when we went.
You got to remember they renamed everything, so we just using the names they named it as. But even Arabs didn't call themselves Arabs. They still don't call themselves Arabs.
Right.
They call themselves either by their tribe or their country. They don't call themselves no damn Arab.
Right.
The only ones that still use an ancient name to refer to themselves as the Chaldean.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and then they're the same people. One of them became Christian, the other one became Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of interaction with people from around the world in the Americas pre-1492.
Right.
Right. And we can act like it didn't happen. We got stories of Vikings came over here when St. Patrick was on his raid. Scott and Scotia came over here, and they was all welcome.
Right.
Now, post 1492, they created a caste system that we didn't have based on skin color. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
They created a system for everything that we naturally do. We can only do it now under their control. You need a fishing license. We don't need no fishing license to fish. I'm from the land, on the land, going about to feed my people from the land. What is you talking about? Right? We used to traverse the land freely and unrestricted. Now we need a driver's license and follow a speed limit. Yeah. I don't have an objection to speed limits, so I know it need to be enforced some kind of way. But the reality of the situation is we didn't have a lot of the restrictions before they came that we have now, but they telling us we supposed to be free.
Yeah.
We supposed to be the freest country in the world.
Yeah.
We free to be slaves as long as we choose to be. That's what the only thing that we free to do.
Right.
You can't. It's against the law to have children, especially for men. You punish as a man if you rear children, right? And the women get the benefit from the government stepping in as her provider.
Yeah, that's sad, man.
Right? That's just it's systematic control. But when you born in it, it's hard to see it. It's like a fish trying to describe water to another fish.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
They got to come out of water to even recognize they in water.
Yeah.
You know? So it's the same way with these systems